Hello, guys. Welcome back to another exciting episode on the show Control or Be Controlled, a podcast designed to help you start thinking differently and take control of your life. And I remain your host, Darlington. Today's guest is Lauren Faye. Our guest today believes that one courageous decision can completely change the trajectory of your life. She's an award-winning author, keynote speaker, life strategist, former collegiate athlete, and Reiki master, whose work focuses on self-leadership, emotional resilience, and the power of intentional choice. Her award-winning memoir, Bloodlines, A Reclamation of Power from Alcohol Addiction, is more than a story about sobriety. It's a story about reclaiming identity, building self-trust, and creating lasting transformation from the inside out. Her message is simple yet powerful. The biggest obstacle to change isn't knowing what to do, it's overcoming the internal negotiation that keeps us choosing what's familiar over what's aligned. Lauren, welcome to Control or Be Controlled.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
And I hope you enjoyed that introduction.
Yes, and it's very aligned with the name of your podcast, Control or Be Controlled, with the message of choice.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Lauren, you often say that we are all one courageous decision away from changing the trajectory of our lives. Can you share with us what experiences that led you to that belief?
I believe, through my own personal story, it was my courageous decision to become an alcohol-free woman. And from that first decision of deciding to remove alcohol from my life, everything else in my life started to align or line up and became more clear. The pathway became more clear. So when I say we're one courageous decision away from changing the trajectory of our lives, I mean, we have multiple areas in our life where we can make one decision. And then as a result of that one decision, we continue to make decisions that honor that first decision to sustain it, and then to have the behavioral modifications, and then eventually the identity modifications. So to bring it back to the actual personal example of deciding to be an alcohol-free woman, the decision was to get sober, so remove the alcohol. And then every decision after that was, if I go to a party, I don't drink. If I this, that, or the other, it just all aligned to that one decision. And then as a result, I got my energy back, my clarity back, and I started to make better choices in my life and my love and my career. And here I am today as a, keynote speaker, an award-winning author, an executive coach, and it all stems back to that one decision.
Okay, wonderful. So you described becoming alcohol-free as a doorway other than the destination. What did you discover about yourself on the other side?
Yeah, a doorway rather than a destination, meaning, so I did have a self-proclaimed problematic relationship with alcohol. I knew that it was impacting the way that I was leading and living and showing up in this world. I knew that it was holding me back from my fullest potential and keeping me trapped in ways of living that didn't feel very good and supportive or expansive to me. And so removing the alcohol was just the first step, which is why I would say it's a doorway. I was able to clearly identify the problem, which was I had a problematic relationship with alcohol. And as a result of that problem, it was creating problems in other areas of my life. So when I removed that one problem, then the other areas in my life started to fix themselves or correct themselves, like a self-correction measure in a way. So that was the doorway to just so many other things. It's like it does stem back to that one initial decision, and mine being this problematic relationship with a particular substance. But as a result of eliminating that substance, like I said, so many other things in my life changed. So it was a doorway for sure.
Okay, thank you so much. I think this is my second guest today on alcohol free, and I'm so happy to be able to pass. No, I think this is my third. Yeah, my third. Yeah, and I'm so happy to be able to spread this message because I myself, I used to be an addict in marijuana and all kinds of substance that has to do with smoking. But for some time now, I'm not saying I'm free. Yeah, I told the last guest I had, I said, I am scared of going out to meet my friends because I feel like when I go out there, I might relapse.
Hmm.
I know I am strong being on my own, but I feel like going out there, I'm going to relapse. So I'm so happy to be sharing this message with you guys. So if I may ask you, Lauren, do you think I should go and meet my friends?
Yes, this is a very, very real concern. And I'm actually glad that you're asking it because this is one thing that I think a lot of the listeners can relate to personally. When, substances are so deeply ingrained in societal expectations and norm, there's a lot of peer pressure. And then there's also a lot of stigma around it. So you either join the pack or you're the anomaly, and no one likes to be the anomaly. So you go along with the pack, right? When we make a decision that is first and foremost for ourselves, like for me, I knew that it was a problem for me. And so therefore I decided I needed to get sober. I don't care what anyone around me does. I need to get sober. So when I went out to socialize, was it uncomfortable? Yes, absolutely. Was there questions, comments, concerns? Of course. Did I ever turn over my sobriety because I was getting peer pressured or because I felt so uncomfortable and out of place? No. Why? Because I made the decision for me and I knew that I had to be sober. So it does take a level of devotion and commitment to your decision to withstand the external environment and pressure. Now, all of that being said, I do believe, and I'm a huge advocate for setting yourself up for success. So people who are in the early stages of changing their relationship with substances, I don't feel like you need to throw yourself in the fire and really test your willpower. I think that it's important to set up your environment where you will be supported. So if going out with your friends at this point in your life doesn't feel supportive, like it would be reason to perhaps, crumble to the peer pressure, you don't feel confident enough yet in your decision or strong enough yet in your decision, then maybe you go to something else, right? Maybe you hang out with other people for now. It doesn't have to be forever, but it might just be like for right now, I have to really protect myself and my decision. And this particular environment doesn't feel very conducive of that. So that's a very long answer to say, at first and foremost, you are the most important person that you need to take care of. So if that means modifying who you hang out with, where you go, the places you visit, the things you do right now until you feel a little bit stronger, then that's just what you need to do. It won't be that way forever. I mean, I'm 9 years sober. I can go to a bar, no problem. But would I have done that my first couple months? No, there was no reason for me to do that and to, put myself in that sort of environment. So I hope that answers your question. I'm not going to directly say yes or no. It's
Yes.
your own
Yeah, I
self-attunement
get.
process on if you feel confident enough to go right now. And if you don't, just politely decline and give yourself more time to anchor in the identity of who you're becoming.
Okay, definitely I will politely decline. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel I don't feel that strong enough. So,
Mm-hmm.
Lauren, you talk about internal negotiation. What is internal negotiation, and why do so many of us struggle to overcome it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually what you were just going through. Should I or shouldn't I? That's the internal negotiation when we don't have a clear decision or a clear direction yet. Especially when it comes to substances, there's a lot of, oh, it's not that bad. Other people have it worse than me. It's been worse before, so like I'm actually doing really good. I'm only having one. I'm only drinking on weekends. So there's that where we're justifying our problematic behaviors and it's prolonging the decision that we need to make to maybe eliminate the behavior altogether or whatever the decision is that you need to make. This is a substance example, but it can apply to any area of life, quite honestly. What are you talking yourself out of? What are you constantly debating in your head? What decision do you know you need to make that you haven't made yet? Where are you stalling? Where are you dragging your feet? That's the internal negotiation. And there's this misconception that this internal negotiation is like keeping us safe. Like it's safer to not make a decision than to make a decision. I'd say actually it's scattering your energy. It's causing a lot of mental disruption. Make a decision, try it out. If it doesn't work, make a new decision. You can always change your mind. You can always go back. But I think we just need to, the reason why I'm such an advocate and a believer in decision making is because it gives us a clear path forward. And internal negotiation just leaves us like, like in the storm, right? In the storm of our thoughts. So that's what that means. And it just really is like clarity. It comes down to, are you clear? Are you not clear? Do you know which direction you're going? Do you not? If you don't, you're probably in this internal negotiation.
All right, Doreen, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so your memoir shares your personal story, but its message goes far beyond addiction. So, what do you hope people who have never struggled with alcohol, take away from it? Also, you can also share what your memoir is all about.
Mm-hmm. My memoir is called Blurred Lines, My Reclamation of Power from Alcohol Addiction. P.S. You are not powerless. And yes, it does chronicle my own journey with substance abuse and then my sobriety. I share the first year and a half of my sobriety in this memoir. So it shows the downward spiral and then it shows that success on the other side. What I really wanted to portray was the different reasons that we might turn to substances. What are we actually drinking over? For me, it was feeling disconnected from my purpose, feeling like I was a disappointment, that I wasn't good enough, just stories that felt pretty disempowering. But what I really, really wanted to capture in Blurred Lines was when we make a decision, it can change the trajectory of our lives. I call it choose your miracle. I made the decision to get sober. And as a result of that, like I already shared, everything in my life really turned on its head and became quite miraculous. But that being said, it's the power of decision making, right? And also the universal lesson of just the resilience of the human spirit. I was as low as you can get. I didn't want to be alive anymore. That's pretty dang low. And then here I am, who I am today. And I wanted to capture that so that people could have hope that no matter how down you are, you can always go up. I wanted people to know that they have the gift of being human, which meant we can make really powerful decisions and literally reorient and design our lives. I wanted people just to know that they're stronger than maybe they think they are and that you can survive what you are going through. So again, it is the story of my own personal addiction story, but it really is a universal lesson and it's been impacting a lot of lives.
Thank you so much. I'm sure your memoir is doing what you intended for you to do. So, let's talk about confidence. Confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, confidence and self-trust. So when I decided to become an alcohol-free woman, I was not confident about that decision. I had no practice being an alcohol-free woman. I wasn't confidently walking into a restaurant. It was like I felt uncomfortable. I was looking at everyone around me who was drinking. I felt like out of place. I felt like people were looking at me and judging me like, oh, why isn't this girl drinking? Does she have a problem with alcohol? Confidence comes later. And we build that confidence by practicing the identity that we're stepping into. We build that confidence by practicing the behavior modification that we've chosen. So every time I showed up to an event and I abstained from drinking alcohol, I built my confidence that I could socialize without the social lubricant I'd relied on for so many years, right? Every time I followed through with what I said I was going to do, I built the confidence that I can trust myself and my word and that people can rely on me. So it's practice and repetition over and over and over to be the person you have chosen to be, to act the way you have chosen to show up in this world. And as a result, we become confident in that identity. So confidence and self-trust going hand in hand, meaning if you are used to breaking your own word to yourself, or if you're saying, I'm not going to drink tonight, and then you do drink, you're breaking your own self-trust. So again, when you keep showing up and you do the thing you say you're going to do, you build that trust in yourself. And then ultimately that becomes like a very confident identity.
All right, Lauren, thank you so much. So you have worked with individuals and organizations on resilience and performance. Teach us, tell us what separates people who create lasting change from those who repeatedly start over. Mind you, most of the times I feel like I am part of those who repeatedly start over.
I think I missed part of that question. Could you repeat it one more time, please?
You have worked with individuals and organizations on resilience and performance. Tell us what separates people who create lasting change from those who repeatedly start over.
Mm-hmm. Yes, anyone. So I do work with high level executives. I also work with stay at home moms. I work with, new career women. You could be at your decision to start over is not dependent on what your job title is or what letters you have behind your name, what credentials you have. It really, anyone can build the resilience. Anyone can take an evaluation of their life, take an inventory of how they're showing up and decide this is no longer good enough for me. I'm not willing to settle in this relationship or in this career or in this behavior. And then you decide to make a change, and you keep every single day honoring that decision. You keep acting as if, aligning your choices to that first decision. That builds the resilience. So anyone can do that in any circumstance of their life. This is definitely not reserved for people with problematic relationships with substances. And it's definitely not reserved for people who are in the C-suite jobs, That's just the power of being human. So that's what I would say is whatever you've decided is no longer good enough for you anymore. What do you want to do about it? What choice do you need to make? Do something about it, and then align everything else to that thing, and you will build your resilience. The example that I can give, honestly, to that is I mentioned earlier, I'm almost 9 years sober. A lot of life has happened in 9 years. It's just because I became alcohol free does not mean my life is in the absence of challenge or hardships or grief or devastation or loss. In fact, just in 2025, I had four actually back to back traumatic events happen in my life. And still, I did not turn my sobriety over, meaning I did not drink over those events. That's the resilience. I have anchored in my identity that I'm an alcohol-free woman, and I've anchored in my resilient truth that my sobriety is not dependent on my life being easy or gentle or fair. It just is. That's the resilience. And anyone can get to that point if you really believe in the decision that you're making for yourself.
All right. So here is my final question for you. For someone who is an addict and is relapsing, and after each relapse, they see themselves as shit, and they feel like they have lost the battle. How can they stop feeling guilty in doing a relapse, and how can they continue the journey?
That is a real thing. The guilt and the shame, when we make it mean something about us, like I'm weak, I can't do this, I'm not strong enough for this, I'm a failure, there's no hope for me. When we get into those shame spirals, it really is hard to pull ourselves out of it. There are a couple ways. One is to find an example of someone who has already done the thing you say you want to do. Follow in the footsteps of someone else. Every single person can make a change, right? It's been done before. You can find someone who's a living, breathing example of that. And so that gives you hope that you're not the anomaly. You're not the exception to the rule. If they can do it, you can too. But that rides on the coattails of the willingness to believe it's possible for you. So it's really hard to believe that we can pull ourselves out of it and get the success we desire when we're shame spiraling. But if there is at least a willingness to believe that it's possible for you to change the way and to do it, to try again and to succeed at it, even if you failed 100 times before, then somehow, some way you will find the perseverance to push through, because humans are exceptionally capable of doing hard things. You just have to believe that you can do the hard thing too, and that you're not the exception to the rule, that you're destined to fail. It's just try and try and try again. Don't quit. Find someone that can hold you up and motivate you and inspire you. I really do believe it just comes down to that willingness to believe that you can be free as well, because you can be. We just have to do the hard things.
Okay, thank you so much, Lauren. So before you go, is there a question you wish I would have asked you that I have not asked you?
That's a really great question. Is there a question that I wish you would have asked? We really talked a lot about things that I'm so passionate about, which is this power of choice, choosing your miracle, a miracle being just a series of courageous, self-led decisions that you make and you honor over time to finally get the result that you want. We spoke on just the resilience of the human spirit, and how we are oftentimes, we forget how powerful and strong and capable we really are. I think it was really admirable of you to share your own vulnerable story and saying that you have your own relationship with substances that you're working through and you're navigating the social scene. I think that was a really important conversation for the listeners to hear the answer to that. The one thing that I would just say is, you are the most important person in the room. This is to you. This is to the listeners. Do what you need to do to set yourself up for success. Ask for help. Let someone in on your secrets. Make sure that you're surrounding yourself by supportive people that can really see your success through with you. I guess the thing I would want to say is that you don't have to do this alone. And that can go for anything, substances or big career changes or relationship changes. Humans are here to support humans. And so find the support that you need.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope my audience can pick one or two things from there and run with it. Thank you so much, Lauren, for such an honest and inspiring conversation. Your story reminds us that transformation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about having the courage to become who we have always known we could be. So for those that would like to learn more about your work as a keynote work or your award-winning memoir, Bloodlines, how can they do that?
Yes. To find Blurred Lines, visit blurredlinesbook.com. Blurred Lines is available in all formats: paperback, hardcover, Kindle, and Audible. So however you like to listen or read your books, that's available for you. If you'd like to come into my world for any sort of consulting, executive coaching, leadership, or keynote speaking, the best way to reach me is through my website, laurenfay.co. That's laurenfay.co.
All right. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you all for listening to Control or Be Controlled. And if you enjoyed this wonderful episode with Lauren Fair, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who is ready to stop negotiating with fear and start choosing the life that they know it's possible. Until next time, remember, your future isn't shaped by what you know. It is shaped by the decisions that you are willing to make today. Once again, take control of your life or something else will. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye, guys. Thank you, Lauren, for coming to my show.
Thank you.